Hello, dear friends. Welcome back to jobeasy.ai. So glad to see you guys. Welcome back. Welcome back. Awesome. Let me share you my screen. Awesome. So guys, welcome back. Today we're gonna have class about SQL, also known as SQL. And we're gonna have this class with our teacher and the friend and the very senior director of QA, Gena. Soon he will join us. And basically, I just wanted to tell you that SQL is something that sometimes being asked during interviews. It's also something that you can basically you can have it at work. Personally, me, for the last 6 years, I never used it, and many of my friends didn't use it even once. But from the other hand, there are people that are using it, and that's why it's very important to know the basics of the databases, of the queries, of SQL. You're gonna learn it right now. All you need is only the basics. You don't need to be really deep into it. You just want to get familiar with the basic tutorials, with the basic principles, with the basic ideas. So it won't be complicated. You definitely want to learn it to the level that you need in order to answer questions during interviews. Usually it's very basic, very easy questions, something that you can learn after an hour or two of our class, okay? I'm sure that if you're gonna try it yourself, watching tutorials on YouTube, let's say, of SQL beginners tutorials, it's also gonna be something that you can learn in like 30, 40 minutes, okay? I see that one of our students recently had an interview and was asked to solve a really easy task with selecting something from different tables. So that's awesome, Sergey. Thank you for sharing that. And it's going to be definitely a very interesting class. And just focus, listen to Gennady. You will learn a lot. And just know that you might not use it at work, okay? Like 60%, 70% that you won't use it. But those that would use it, they need to get familiar with that, and they definitely need to know it for the interview. Because for me, I also had SQL questions during interview whenever the position was not related to databases at all. They just want to see that if you mention it in your resume, that you know what it means. And it's a very, very awesome skill. So you definitely want to have it. And thanks to our QA Academy, you're gonna have everything you need to pass the interview and to know databases and SQL on the level that you need for getting the job and executing the work that you need to do, okay? So, Gennady, can you hear us?
I can hear you very well.
Awesome. Good to, let's see, do we have your video, or today we're gonna have, oh, let me just make you a co-host. Just 1 second, please. Wow. Okay, so now I'm making you a co-host, and you can share the screen, and you can control everything you need. Hi, Gennady. Thank you for joining us.
It's a little bit audio delay on my side. I hope everybody can see me.
You sound perfect.
Lovely. Let me share my screen, right? Firefox, that's what I want to share. All right. Can everybody see me or hear me?
Yes, we can see your page and we can see you as well.
Lovely, lovely. All right. So let's, I don't know how many people right now online listening.
We have 20 people right now. And I'm sure that we're going to have another 20 that are going to watch this video tomorrow.
And why can't I? Strange. Firefox. Strange. I need to minimize that, hide it. All right. All right, everybody. Let's start with this wonderful, interesting conversation about SQL. So SQL, first of all, it's my passion. You have to understand, during your interviews, from time to time, people are going to start asking you questions regarding infrastructure of your technology, how everything connects to each other, how everything talks. So today we're going to talk about a few things. We're going to talk first about SQL. We're going to talk about SQL as language. We're going to talk how does it help to scale your companies and your applications. And at the end, we're going to talk about a couple of interesting things that related to SQL that you need to know. All right. So first, let me explain to you how simple SQL is. It takes about 1 minute to learn and lifetime to master. So this is pretty much what it is. The language of SQL consists usually from 3 major arguments. Because QA people use SQL in a very specific channel, meaning we don't use many things of SQL. 99.9% of everything that you're going to do is going to be 2 simple statements. Today, we're going to talk about only 1 statement, because if you understand that statement, the second one is going to be just piece of the cake, not a big deal. So 99% of the time, you're going to use select statement. And because select statement is, it's a major SQL sentence, we're going to learn, it consists from 3 major arguments: select, from, and where. So I want you to either write it down or remember, select is always what we want to see. It means it can be something that we don't know. It can be something that we do know. The bottom line, it's always what you want to see on your screen after you run your query. That's what you put right here after select, right here.
I'm sorry, Gennady, just a question to those that have no idea what's going on. Can you describe in few sentences SQL?
Of course.
Thank you.
So SQL is the language in which your code is talking to database. It's the language that allows you to retrieve or put information in database. Everything that application knows about you is stored on the server side inside database. Every time you log in to Facebook or Google, it does not store on your machine. What you're doing calls authentication. Authentication is a process where you enter your username and then you enter password. So there is an event called handshake. So when we send these credentials to database, we need to validate that this person with this username exists and the password matches the password that we have stored for you. The way we store password is not exactly the way password you enter. We call it hash. The event that allows you secure store your password calls encryption, decryption. So every time you enter password, application on the back end decrypt it, right? And then allows you to compare whatever hash, it's like random numbers and letters that your password is converted to. And we do comparison. Once those two hashes are similar, we create an event in database called session ID. So with a valid session ID, we allow you to communicate with your database because we actually authenticate you as a valid user on this platform, or at least we know who you are. So every time you put something, every time you enter something, every time you want to see something, there is an event where your request is compiled into the API and it goes to the database and it looks for this data and it retrieves this data and it gives you this data. This event calls get. So try to think of the API get or post. If you want to save something, we're going to put something in database. Or if you want to see something, we're going to go and get something from database. So today we're going to learn about getting something from database. So the most easiest statement in database, most common one, is select statement. It's when you want to look something in database. So select statement consists from three major arguments: select, from, and where. Select is always what you want to see, and I will explain to you in a few seconds what does it mean. All right. From is always where to look. So it's going to be a table name. Okay. So from is always a table name. Where is a very, very important thing. That's what you know. Always what you know. If you don't have where, it's going to give you everything. For example, let me show you what I mean. I'm opening the same window. I did duplicate and I click on the customers. So on the back end, when I click on the right-hand side on the customers, the SQL in this particular tutorial allows me to compile a query, select all, the star means everything, from customers. This is what's happening when you don't know anything about, there is no where. So if you look right here, it gave me every single line in database. The only problem is, what if it wouldn't be 91? What if it would be 91 million records? You would easily can bring database down because it will eat all the memory to go over 91 million records and give you some information. That's why where allows you to give you more specific details about data that you want to get. So for example, let's say I need somebody from London city. So where city equals single parenthesis for everything that is not number. Remember, everything that is not number has to be in single parenthesis. And London. Let's run the query. I got 6 records only. Those are the customer's ID. So now I can specifically ask for something. For example, this is the customer names. Most likely, this is probably business. This is contact name. So let's say all I need is customer. Remember, database is very case sensitive and very, very sensitive to everything that you put. So you have to be absolutely identical to how it's spelled, and if it's capital or not, it's very important. Now, your commands, select from, are not, but the data inside vary. So customer ID, comma, and let's say we want something that we know, something, I'm sorry, like customer name we don't know. So let's say we're going to put it right here. And then I'm going to do comma and something that I do know. So it's going to look beautiful. Take a look. This result in SQL world calls view table. This table doesn't exist. We just created it, which means we ask to display only the information that we need. And what we see right now, we call a view table. We can store it, we can save it, and have this table for our use, personal use, right? Now, take a look. This is a customer ID. This is contact name. Let's say I want to do something more than this, all right? I want to change contact name so it's going to look good, and I'm going to write as name. If I put as name, it's going to change this column for the remaining of this query. Take a look what I did. All right. So this is for your use only, and it's only working until you're running this query, which means it doesn't save anything. It's just while you're working. This calls a statement. Now, I want to make sure you understand. It's a very simple statement. Select from where. Select is always what you want to see. From is always a table name. It's where you want to see it, which table you want to look in. Where, I'm sorry, where, right there, is what you know. It's an additional information that allows you to dehydrate the data, to give you more precise data. Not everything, but something specific. And we're going to talk today a lot about these particular things, right? So right here on the right, it's called schema. This is our database schema. You don't need...
I'm sorry, I just wanted to say that I shared with everyone the link to this place, and after the class, you're more than welcome to explore it and practice it.
Thank you very much. Actually, I was hoping to have an exercise at the end of this class for 10-15 minutes. I would like everybody to try it by yourself because it will give me a lot of peace of mind as far as did you guys get it or you did not get it. So take a look at the right-hand side. This is your schema, database schema. Database schema is not something that you need to know. It's something that you need to learn. You don't need to learn about every single table because you will be able to figure it out once you work in a company and somebody shares with you that schema. That schema is supposed to be more than just the table names. This schema is supposed to show you how those tables are connected to each other. And this is our second portion of the conversation. Now, let me do it again. This is something that we wrote right now. Now, we're going to do it a few more times and then we're going to move on. Let me take a look at the table calls categories. If I'm afraid to run it because I have no idea how many records in it, let's say I don't know that there are 8 categories. What if there is 8 million categories? So it's always safe to do at the end limit 10. What it does, it's the second time it's doing it. Okay, it doesn't want to do it. That's okay, that's fine. Let's do order. Select all from categories. Order by category ID. Can you see that? Category ID.
So the star stands for all, right?
Yes. Select all. from categories, order by category ID. Now, did you see how it stored it? Now, if I want to do it the other order, I'm going to use the command called descending, DESC. It's going to give me on the top the latest ones. If you do this, you always know. What about now? Will it work now? No, it doesn't want to do limit. Some limitations. That's okay. We're fine. So now you always can be sure that the latest entry you did, you can achieve by running order by ID descending. All right? Good. Now take a look at this table. It's a static table. It has names, descriptions, and of course, category ID. That's everything from the table categories, right? Let's say I don't need everything. I just need category ID, comma, and category name. It gave me everything. I can still do order by, right? Let's say I'm going to go back for a second. I'm going to save it. Go to categories. And I'm going to use cheeses. Cheeses. So I'm going to do the same thing. Where description. Equals single quotes because it's a string. I think this is how this is category number 4.
Jesus. Nice.
Yeah. So can you see me very well? Can everybody see it?
Yes, yes.
Lovely, lovely. So now, once everybody understands how it works, it's pretty simple. It's always select from and where. Select what you want to see, from where you want to look, table name, always table name. It's going to be always one of those table names. And where is what you know that allows you to actually look at the more precise information. Now, we're going to move on to the next part. All databases that are SQL databases in today's world, they call relational databases. What does it mean, relational databases? Relational databases are all databases where tables are somehow connected to each other. They are related. And what helps you to relate those tables is a method that calls foreign and primary keys. It's very simple to understand. It's a little bit difficult to explain. So let me show you once, maybe it will be easier, and then I'll explain to you how it works. Let's take a look at this table. Orders. I look at all the orders, okay? Let me take orders where, let me grab this one. All from orders where something I did one more time. All from orders. Order ID, no no ruler. Please take a look. I don't use single quotes because it's a number. There's no need for this. And I run this query. Guys, I want you to look at this query. I'm looking at the order, everything from the orders, where order ID is one specific order, and this is one specific order. Altogether in orders 196 records, which is, substantial number of records. Now, this is order date. You can see that. This is shipper ID. This is employer ID. This is customer ID. Now, let's think about it for 1 second. If I'm going to put all the information in this table, I'm going to put all information about customer, all information about employer, all information about shipper. The table is going to be very heavy. Why? Because it's going to have a lot of strings, a lot of extra information. So we decided to do a relational database where we only keep here ID, but it has another table where this ID will help us to connect to the customer table and get all the information about the customer from another table. Now, think about it very, very precise. It's very important. If you have after, from, two tables, it's like two dots. You only need one line to connect two dots. If you have three tables, you only need two lines to connect three dots. If you have 100 tables after from, you need 99 lines to connect those tables with each other. What does it mean? It means that you always use the same method to connect those tables with each other. This technique calls primary and foreign keys. For example, in table order, this is the primary key. We call it unique identifier. Remember, unique identifier. It's a unique number for this record. Now, customer ID here is a foreign key, most likely for the customer table. How do I know that? Let's take a look. The last order, the order with this number was done by this customer. So let me check it out. I know it's 81. I'm going to go to the customer. Where? A1. This is information about this particular customer. Do you see it has address, city, postal code, country, contact information? This is a lot of data to process. So if you're going to keep it in one table, your application is going to run very slow. So we only use, in the order table, we only use ID of the customer right here in order for us to find what we need. Now, if we want details, we need to connect those two tables. So let's say I know this order ID. This order ID is very specific to me. I love this order ID, right? Or we can even do better in order for us to do something more. Let's take the last order possibly was made, okay? Order by, order ID, descending, run. This is the very last record. Here we go. Customer ID is 66. I go here. let's say you ask me to create you a very beautiful report and print it out. Report needs to have information about date and which country it actually went to. So most likely we need to connect those two tables. The question is how we're going to connect it. Let me to tell you the method that calls joint. We're going to use the same techniques, select from where. The difference is going to be quite a few. From customers, orders, right? So take a look. Orders and customers are together. Now, customer ID here is something that we know. For customer ID and so what do we need to see? Now, I want to make sure you understand what's happening now. The moment there is comma here, what changes is that now, no matter what you're going to put here in the front, you need to put table name. For example, customer ID is from the customer table. Okay. What did we want to see? I think we want to see a couple of things. We want to see order date. Select. Order date from orders, comma, and then from the customers table, we wanted to see something we call country, right? Country. Okay, now we put information that we know. We know the customer is number 66, but we need to do a joint. The joint is very simple. We know those two tables connect to with each other with a very simple thing. In the table orders, there is a foreign key, customer ID. So now all I need to do is do this. And this is going to be my joint. And now I put a joint customers dot customer ID equals orders dot customer ID. So I put primary key and a foreign key together so I can missing operator. Here we go. Now everybody take a look, guys. This is our query. Order date and the country. So for this customer, 66, right? He's from Italy. He had orders 3 times. Let's say we decided to add something. Now we want to find something else. In the table orders, order ID, employer ID, order date. So we have order details.
So basically you switch and you go between different tables that contain the information. Mm-hmm.
Absolutely. So I'm looking at this query and I want to add something. My boss asked me to give me another information right here. He wants to have information about details, right? So order ID here, let's say order details, product ID, quantity, product ID. There is a product. I look at the product, there is a product name. So in order for me to find a product name, I need to connect two more tables. Are you guys ready to connect two more tables, or you want to focus on only join two tables?
I think what we need to pass the interview to know only join of two tables. What do you think?
Yeah, Max, once you understand how to do it, it doesn't really matter for you, because now you understand the method. And when you know the method, it doesn't really matter how many tables you need to connect, because you're not thinking about the tables. You're using a method. Mm-hmm. And the method is very simple. If you have two tables, you only need one joint. And this joint, no matter what, always going to have the same thing, connecting primary key with a foreign key. Mm-hmm. Let me go back and show you. I'm going to show you an interesting technique, guys. Everybody, look at me. Right here, this is in the software development, we call how to explain to you? This is where we do declaration. This line from is the declaration of tables. So this is one of the most important things. I'm going to do space and call it C. Right here, I'm going to do the space and call it O. What I do is I give a nickname, aliases. I just called customer C and orders O. For the remaining of this query, it will understand what I'm talking about. What does it allow me to do? Same thing. Do you see what's happening? I gave him a nicknames, aliases. And now, when I write my query, I don't need to use the whole name of this table. I can only use aliases. This technique will allow me to write it faster and easier. It's going to be much, much faster. Okay? So take a look at this query. Let's write a couple of more queries before we move on. So if I want...
Just letting you down that we have a lot of votes for more tables.
You serious? I love it. That's my type of people. All right. So I do understand. If I look at the orders tables, I realize there is not much information here. I can see shipper ID. So let's see. I want to know who is the shipper who sent this thing. Okay. So let me connect to shipper. I'm going to look at the shipper. Shipper ID most likely connects me to the table shipper. So I'm looking at my schema. Yeah, there is a table called shippers. Ooh, it has phone number. It has shipper name. Let's say I need a shipper name. Let's go back to my beautiful query. We're going to introduce one more table called shippers. And we're going to call it S. Right here, I'm going to put S dot. What I need is name. I think that's what we wanted. Oh no, it's a shipper name. My apologies. As delivery. As delivery name. I love it. So I just give a nickname for the column. I'm not going to call it shipper name. I'm going to call it delivery name. All right. So right now, right here, I have three tables and only one joint right here. So what I'm going to do, I need to write another joint. My next joint is I need to connect shippers with orders. So shippers have a shipper ID. Do you see this? Shipper ID. If I go to orders, it has shipper ID here. So all I do right now, and O dot equals S dot, same thing. Run a query. It didn't like what, oh, it didn't like this. Okay, let's remove it for now. Oh, it doesn't like it either. Okay, let's take a look what doesn't like. And shipper name.
Maybe extra space between it? Or
I think it calls shipper's name. No?
it has maybe extra space.
Oh, space. Space. Woo!
Love it.
Yeah, here we go. Sorry, guys. So take a look. So what you saw right now, it's a beautiful thing, Max, because that's what developers, database backend developers do. They write a query, they get an error like this, and then they troubleshoot. So this is going to be an error that developer is going to get when he's writing the API, when he's writing a store procedure like this. So he's going to read where around expression the problem, remove that space. We just fixed the bug. We just literally are developers who fixed the bug, and we run the query. So now we know the shipper name. Once we did a joint, we can add any information from this table. Let's say I need information about, if I'm looking at the shippers, let's say I need phone number. So now I can add anything. S dot, that's it. All right.
So S stands for supplier?
No,
or
S is a nickname.
Yeah.
It's the alias for the table shippers.
Okay.
We can call it anyhow, guys. We can call it X if we want to. The only difference is that everywhere we need to use X. It doesn't really, the SQL doesn't care what expression do you use. On X, right here, X. Now it's going to work. All right, so SQL doesn't care how you're going to call it. You can call it anyhow you like.
Should we call it SQL or SQL? What's the most popular?
SQL. The SQL doesn't really care about what alias you're going to use right here. Just don't use numbers, because numbers are reserved for database, and it might have an issue with that. Now, we can play around with you guys and start adding more stuff, or write few more different queries. It's all up to you. So please be more proactive. And what we can do, we can play around this one, we can wipe it out and start a new one. For example, if I go back to orders, I see some of the information. I see information about shipper, I see information about employer. I have no idea what, I can assume that employer is the business that buying this. It has contact number, photo, birth date, employer ID, but I don't see employer name of the business. So there is not, it's not useless. Okay, let's go to another one. Let's go back to our query, orders. And let's say customer, we already did. Employer, there is nothing there. Shippers, we did. Okay, so we don't have that much information. Let's go to the order details. Order details has a lot of information, good information about the product. So let's connect first our sentence, our SQL statement with order details. So we're going to introduce new table. Order details. Because we already have O, we're going to do OD, order details. All right. So now we need to connect them. And let's take a look. How are they connected? Order details has an order ID. Perfect. Couldn't be better. O, order ID. Equals OD, order ID. Here we go. So they connected. But what's amazing is that order details doesn't have much information. If you look at this, order details has only, it's like a connected table. It's a table full of different IDs, but it doesn't have, the most important thing is details. So let's introduce new table, product, because I have a good feeling once we connect product, let's go to the product. We have product ID, we have all the information, supplier ID, product name, all right. So let's go back here and introduce new table, products. We're gonna call it P, all right? Right here, we need another joint and OD dot equals to P dot product ID. Wonderful. Wonderful. So now we already connected those two tables. So now we can easily look at the product table, and everything that we need in product table, we can actually put it again. So let's say product name. P dot product name as goods. As goods. All right. Here's the name of the goods that we're buying right here. Now, what does it mean? We just renamed it. It's not necessary. It's just for you. You can play with that, but this is something that you can do. So now product name, all right? So now we have a lot of information. It doesn't like delivery. It works. All right. All right, guys. So let's see. What else does product has? Unit, price. All right. So we can actually see how much the person paid for it. What was the price? So this is exactly, guys, and it's very important. I want you to focus on it. So when you're going into your applications and you're looking for all of this information, like Amazon, how much you paid for this, how much the order. On the back end, every time you click, this is what is running. The store procedure, the SQL statement that is written for you. And now whatever you want, it's compiling a SQL statement and it sends you the information. And this view table right here, this one, this is the one right here. That's what it's given to you. So if I want to go into the product name, I want to see P dot price. Here we go. We got a price right here. Does that make sense? Any questions so far, guys?
I feel that some people are overwhelmed with too many tables. I think we should go back to 2 tables,
Right.
so everybody gets the basics, because all we need, guys, it's basics, and that's what we need at the moment.
This is this is completely understood. So let's take a small tiny break for a couple of seconds. All right. Now, practically speaking, if we delete all of this stuff and start from scratch, this table, those tables are tables in our database. They are all connected to each other somehow. Suppliers. This is the supplier and everything that we know about supplier, where we buy it. Supplier names, contact name, supplier ID, but this called static table. Now, where do we use supplier ID? The only place is the products supplier ID. So if I want to find out for this particular product, right? Let's say for the product where, for example, product ID equals 2, or what do we like? We like, oh, grandma's boysenberry spread. Или икура. Oh, икура. Oh, I love икура.
Love it.
Икура. Here we go. So 10. So now I have all the information about the product. But right here, I have a supplier ID. So I'm looking at this product and I want to know, I want to order it from this supplier. How do I find out? How do I connect to this supplier? How do I call him? Where do I call him? Which name do I need to use? Whom do I need to ask? So what do I do? I go to another table called supplier. Now I call for supplier, and because right here, I know that supplier ID is number 4, I'm gonna go here, find number 4, and run a query where supplier ID equals supplier ID equals, was it 4? Let's do it again. 4.
Yes. Mm-hmm.
And I run it. So now I look, I say, I don't need everything. I don't care about address. I don't care about postal code, but I do care about a couple of things. I want to know contact name, right? I want to know phone. So now I run this query, let's say I need one more thing. Let's say I need to know country. Okay, so now I know, but those are 2 different queries. It means you need to go take number here, then go here, open another tab, write down another query and find out this. But in application, we don't want people to go into 20 different places. We want them to click and see all the information right there. So we need to write a join. We need to connect those 2 tables. So this is what we're gonna do right now. Let's get all of this information and put it together. All right, so now select all from product for now. So first, we're gonna do P, just like we did before. And now we need to add another table called supplier. S, okay? Where product ID, P.product ID, if you have more than one table name, you must put a table name in the front of the argument. If the column is a product ID, it must know which table you're looking into. Always. So now you have a product ID, okay? Which is good. Let's connect it. Joined. How do we join them? We know we join them using product ID. So we need S dot equals P dot, okay? Now what do we need here? We need few things. We needed, for this particular, we needed those 3 things, right? Control C, Control V. Just in the front, S dot, S dot, S dot. Now in the front of it, I want something from the P dot name. I think that's how it's called, name. Run the, It did not like it. It didn't like something. What didn't like? No value given for more required parameters. So let's go back here. This is suppliers. What if I look at products, product name? That's what it didn't like. It's not the name, it's the product name. P dot product name is, oh, what is going on? Something is off. P product ID 10. I have a feeling I'm getting tired too. So product ID 10. Okay, everything is right. What it didn't like, one more time. No value given for one or more required parameters. There is no value. As country.
It doesn't matter if where is capitalized or not capitalized. It doesn't matter, right?
Absolutely doesn't matter. It doesn't like something right here. As let's remove this for now. Let's see if we can run this. Same thing. So it's something. Products. Products. No. Products name. No. That's crazy. Let's go one more time. Product. Product name. Number 10. I think I know what's going on. Select product name. From product, products, suppliers. I think everything is correct. Suppliers. There will be products. Okay. Where P product ID equals 10. Product ID equals 10. Okay. This is correct. I like it. And S supplier. I think I understand. That's the problem right here. This is what we need. So we join them using the wrong parameters. The table supplier does not have a product ID. It's in the product, there is a supplier ID. Here we go. Now we can add everything else. Now we can look at our suppliers for what we need. We needed, if I'm not mistaken, we needed supplier name. S dot supplier name, Tokyo Traders. We wanted to see I don't understand. Where's the phone number? Suppliers. We need shippers. Suppliers. There's no information. I'm going crazy a little bit. Anyway, here we go. One step at a time. So, okay. So all the information we wanted to know in our product, that we wanted to say product name is Akura. We want to know who is the supplier name. Here's a supplier. If I click on suppliers, that's the information I'm going to get. I don't know why categories. Under impression that there is a phone number, not just contact name or the address. Japan. Okay. Okay, I hope everybody understood how we did this joint, connecting two different tables, product and supplier. Now we have a shippers, suppliers, products, orders, employees. Let's take a look at the employees.
Just to clarify, we had two tables and they had something mutual that we are calling how?
Foreign and primary key.
So basically, can you like add a few words about the foreign and the foreign key?
Those are the same keys. Those are absolutely the same numbers and the same keys that located in two different tables. Using those two identical keys, we can connect information from one table to another one using something that they have in common. That's the only method to connect two tables, is to find primary key and foreign key. I'm trying to see customers, orders, employee ID. All right. So let's say we want to find out something new. Let's say for the order, we want to find out who sold it. So we're going to take this order, 250, where then 250, run. We have employer ID, right? If I go to employers, it has more than an ID. It has last name, first name, birthday, notes, blah, blah, anything. Let's say I just need first and last name from this table. So we need to connect them together, right? I don't want to see it in two different tables. I want to see it, instead of employee ID, I want to see first name and last name. I want everything to be the same, right? I want, I don't need shipper ID right now, but let's say I need order date, I need order ID, I don't need customer ID for now, but instead of employee ID, I want a full first name and last name for it. So what am I going to do? I'm going to do the same thing we've done before. Okay, orders, space O, comma, and then we know there is employees, right? We're going to call it E, all right? Now, order table has employee ID right here, and employee table has employee ID. Now, right here, it's a foreign key. In the employee table, it's a primary key. Employee ID, can you see that? So in the employee table, it's a primary key. In the order table, employee ID is a foreign key, all right?
So I just want to understand, how do you know if it's primary just because it was first one from the left, or how?
Not necessarily, just the way you need to know. It's what you learn. Take a look. In a table order ID is going to be a primary key. It just makes sense. Sometimes people are going to call it just order. I'm sorry, just ID. They're not going to call it order ID. They're just going to call it ID, right? Now, employee ID in the order table cannot be a primary key because it just makes no sense. So most likely, logically, when people create databases, they name everything so it can have a logic. So employee ID, most likely, if you want to find out more, you need to find the table most likely calls employee, because that just makes sense. Employee ID would be a foreign key to the employee table.
It's just a little bit confusing because it doesn't show exactly which table we at. I don't see it anywhere.
If you're going to look more into the details of schema, it's actually going to explain details, but I can assure you that it just makes sense. The naming conventions is very simple. Primary key, usually number one, it's always first column. That's just a law. That's how you define database, table name. That's the first column you define. Now, foreign key, can be anything else. So some tables have a foreign key, right? And a primary key. Some tables have only primary key. For example, if I go right now to table, this is employee table. Take a look, guys. There is no foreign keys. It means the only thing it has is a primary key. It means this table exists only to be connected to another table. You don't ever connect anything to this table. Why? Because there is no other keys. There is no IDs of any kind. Now, when you look at other tables, you will see 2, 3, 4 different IDs. So you do understand there are 4, 3, or 5 different tables connected to that table. So table this doesn't connect to anything, this one. It doesn't have anything to be connected. So let's go back to our task. We want to look at the order table. We want to look at particular order. We want to skip something we don't need. And we're going to look at the employee. But we don't need employee ID. We need employee name, last name, and first name. So we're going to do this. First, let's connect them together. Employee ID is an order table. So I'm going to do O dot equals to E dot same thing.
Gena, so, one question. I saw that you're using and, but you always been saying that we are actually doing a join. So are we using and or joint or how it goes?
Okay, Max, you never use the word joint for the right joint. For the right upright joint, you don't use joint. You don't need to. This is a perfect opportunity for you to connect. This is the joint right here.
Sure. I just want to clarify to everyone.
Mm-hmm. You don't need to do left. It's very complicated. If once you go into the left joint, right joint, inner joint, outer joint, this is very complicated. This method is very simple. This method is very, very useful. You can find anything in this world using this particular method. Right here is your joint. Right here. That is your joint. This is the place where you connect primary key with the foreign key, right? You don't need to write joint. You can put and because it's not either or, it's and, quo, all right? So now we're going to use right here what we need. From the table order, or dot, we need order ID. We need order date. And then we need a few more things from another table. We want from the table employee that's it. So take a look. We converted the order table. And now instead of employee ID, we have a last name and a first name. So let's change it. Give me 1 second. Let's see if it's going to work. Beautiful. So now we converted this table, and now we can see this is order ID, this is order date, this is employee first last name, this is employee first name. Does that make sense, everybody?
I noticed that some people unfortunately didn't understand yet what is primary and foreign key.
All right. Makes sense. So you have two different tables. You have information in one table, you have information in another table. You want that conditions in both of those tables were accounted in your query. You want both scenarios, not just one table, but both table scenarios. You want data to be displayed that is good for both tables. How do you do that? You find whatever you know in the first table, you find whatever you need in the second table, or you don't, or you do, it doesn't matter. But the way you connect them using primary and foreign key, which is the same ID, the same number, it's just in one table, it's a primary key, in another table, it's a foreign key. Those are the same IDs, which means the same ID of the same table in two different places. Я могу перейти на русский, Макс, если это, может быть, получится, если хочешь.
You can try describing just this part, because we have actually English speakers as well, but if you can describe in a few sentences, maybe to the Russian guys,
Yeah.
maybe because they don't see your face, they cannot read it and understand what you mean.
Of course.
But,
Max, we can always do it a different way. I think what's going to be fair to most people is that for the people who don't understand exactly how it is, we can have a special, separate, maybe a few minutes conversation where I can go into the little bit more details and explain to them a little bit more. Because practically speaking, I give them an example, which is a written example, and I explain to them details. Now it's more like it is a basics. If I'm not saying that you should understand it right away, but there is no other way to explain a foreign and primary key. It's the same ID in two different places, and you're using those IDs to connect two tables together. Now, I can go a little bit more details, more granular, but I don't want to waste anybody's time. I think we should move on, and then later I can spend additional time with those people who did not understand this properly, and I can help them to understand it a little bit more better.
Can you just in a few seconds show where is the primary ID, primary key right now, and the foreigner key right now at this example? Thank you.
So we cannot use it here because it's our view table, but we can use it anywhere else. For example, employees. Employees has only primary keys. This is primary ID. This is unique identifier calls. That's literally how it calls, unique identifier. This is a primary key, all right? Now, employee ID, in order for you to connect this table to another table, it means somewhere in another table, there is a foreign key with the same ID, same value, same everything. And we found this table. It was I think in orders, employee ID right here. So in a table order, primary key of this table is right here. But this is a foreign key of that employee table. So this is how you connect employee ID here and employee ID here is the same thing. It's the same IDs, identical.
Got it. Awesome.
That's how you connect them together. Those are the same IDs. So now, if you're looking at the order, and this particular order right here, this particular order right here, so order by order ID descending. So this is the very last order. The employee ID of this order, the person who solved this order, has ID number 8. If I want to find out what's its name, because if you're using this application, you're not using database, you're using application. So when you're looking at the front end, 8 is not going to help you. From database point of view, yeah, it helps a lot because it makes this table light. But from the front end point of view, ID 8 is not going to help you much. You need to know who this person is. You want to talk to this person. So what you need to do, you need to find what's the first and last name of this person. Who is this person? So in this order table, there is a foreign key, employee ID. And if you go to the employee, if I search for number 8, where employee ID number 8, this is how I find out who sold that order, who was the person who sold this order. So this is how I would connect those two tables if I don't want to run two different queries. Because I run one query, I run order table, I found the last order, I looked at the employee ID, now I'm running another query with the employee ID number 8. What if I don't want to write two different queries? What if I need to click on one button on your application and see all of this information in one click on the button? I need to create a SQL that will go and get me all of this information. How do I do that? We just did it. So I connect by creating a joint. And the only way to create a joint is to connect those two tables using primary and foreign keys. In the employee table, it's a primary key. If I go to the order, employee ID here is the foreign key. Does that make sense, Max?
I'm just a little confused. You said it's join or joint?
It's joint. Joint. No?
Okay, let's see.
Max. All right, guys. Hit me with the question. What is the question?
Let's see. Let's see. Questions. Guys, if you have any questions, please write them down. Let's write them down and let's discuss it. So, just 1 second. So, I think we just had a little, I think the right way to call it, it's join, J-O-I-N, but besides that, let's see. I don't see any questions. I'm sure that guys a little bit overwhelmed, but it's definitely not as complicated as you think. Gennady, can we practice it with maybe some kind of assignment that we can do on W3 School, or what you suggest?
I suggest us to do some training right now. So I'm going to ask you for the question, and you go ahead. Everybody has this URL. Please. I think this is it. Let me see if it's going to work. Yep, it works. All right, everybody, get on this tool. Let's start with the basic a couple of times, and let's see where we're going to go. Everybody in?
Let me just send them the right link. I think the one that I sent initially, let me just send it again with the database. Guys, I hope you get it now. I just sent to everyone again. It will, oh, you actually shared the link. Okay, so let me send it to them. Try SQL.asp. Okay, so I just shared with you guys. Hope you got it. Oops, Gennady, it takes us actually to does not exist place for some reason. I don't know why. Let me try a different link that I shared with you guys before, okay? So I'm sending you the full link. It's the same table, so I believe that it's gonna be the same results. Just go to this last link that I just mentioned, okay? Guys, are you there? Were you able to get there? Yes, so it looks like everybody is. So the question from Sergey, how really deep do we have to know this at the beginning? Gennady, you want to answer that or?
I can answer this. I can answer this. Nobody will ask you to be a database analyst and to do some really heavy, amazing things with database. However, I want to make sure you understand to do a basic SQL is going to help you to be a better QA engineer. It requires very few minutes of practice, literally. It helps you to pass definitely interview because from time to time, people will ask you about your SQL skills. Plus, it's very good to have it in your resume. It helps a lot. Plus, it shows you that you can test backend. It helps you to put in your resume that you are gray box tester, which is great thing to have. And on top of this, it's only going to take you a few minutes to figure out how it works. You don't need to know much. You just need to know how it works, and that's it. Because you will have a schema, you will figure out how they connected to each other. It's going to take you time to understand schema of your application. Once you know it, after a while, you will see to join those tables together is going to be a piece of cake, but it just makes you feel great. It's just small, tiny effort. It calls 80-20. It's 20% effort, and you're going to get 80% comfort. Knowing that you can actually go into the backend and look at the data. Just amazing feeling. And you don't need much to know. It's just 3 words, select from where. And once you know how to use those 3 words, you can look anywhere and look at anything.
Cool. Seems that everyone is on the same page with us. And everybody understood that we don't need to be SQL gurus. We just need to understand the basics.
Absolutely.
And if you don't really understand it from the first time, it's okay to go to YouTube and watch tutorial for beginners about SQL. And in 20-30 minutes, you will understand things that you didn't understand today. Or you can go to this website, wfreeschools.com, to the SQL section, and you can just practice the basics until the joins, okay? So that's the best way to get familiar with that. It won't take a lot of time, and it's going to be definitely a good investment for you to get some nice skills with databases.
Okay, are you ready, guys, to do some exercises? Let's do it.
Yay.
Okay. Now, here's the question. Write me a query. I'm going to write it down. I need to know customer ID. I need to know customer ID for customer that lives or located in Berlin. How do you like this? That's the question. You need to transfer it into the SQL. It's not a join. It's very, very basic SQL. Try to write it and see. I'll give you exactly 2 minutes. Go ahead.
So basically, you want them to find
customer ID for the customer that located in Berlin.
Okay. Just a reminder, guys, if you have something that is not clear, you're not sure about, please please write to my chat, okay? Because it's very important to us. It's very important to us to make sure that you understand everything that you need on this basic level to be able to pass the interview and to understand how to use SQL. Most likely you won't need to use it, but some of you, they definitely would. So we want everyone to get familiar with that, and please do your best, focus, and it's not complicated. It maybe looks complicated the first time that you look on it, but after going through it a few times, you will see that it's not complicated at all. And any questions, please write to us. Gennady, can you, I saw that you had a different field with the assignment and it looks like it disappeared. Can we go back there or, oh, that's the assignment, right? Okay, I just thought that maybe you want to keep it for a while. Cool. Just a tip, guys. If you see in the table that the first guy is from Berlin, it doesn't mean that he's the only guy from Berlin.
Okay, guys, let's see if we did it right. Select customer ID from customers where city equals Berlin. Single quotes because it's a string. The answer is 1. Now, if I want to look the same thing for London, take a look how many customers from London.
By the way, Victoria won the first prize because she answered first.
Lovely. I would not, I don't know Victoria, but I'm sure she is a very talented future QA engineer. All right, guys, let's move on.
I'm sorry, Gennady, I didn't notice. Which table is that? Oh, it's actually basically results of the query that we created. I see. Mm-hmm.
So I want you guys to look at the product and tell me the price for Philo mix. I need a price for Philo mix in a table called product. I'm gonna put a timer. It's gonna help us to do it much better. Timer. Let's 1 minute.
Yes, you can. Nice, Sergey. Guys, I want everyone to do it. You can do it. Nicole, don't worry. If you're stuck, we're gonna clarify everything really soon, and you will see how easy it was.
Okay, guys, let's do it. So this is not a joint. It's a simple statement. Select price from products where product name equals the price is 7. Everybody got it right? 7?
Sergey got it right.
All right. What about Victoria?
I think Victoria went to celebrate her previous victory.
Of course. Vika Victoria. All right, guys. Now, I'm going to give you one more simple question for 1 minute, and then we're going to try to do join, which is going to be a little bit different. But you all have this tool, so it should not be that difficult. If you go to categories, all right, I want you to tell me, okay, I want you to tell me, okay, give me description of the category name seafood. Description for seafood. 1 minute.
So, Gennady? Oh, I'm sorry, because I a little bit lost it. You want to find description for seafood?
Yep.
Mm-hmm. Okay.
All right, everybody. Let's do it together. Select description from categories, right? Where category name equals seafood. Dun, dun, dun. Seaweed and fish.
Sergey won the first prize.
Here we go. We have a Speedy Gonzalez, Sergey. All right, guys. Now, I want Max to ask everybody, do you want to do exercise with the join?
Guys, do you want to do exercise with the joint?
I'm going to do it again myself. So you're going to see it again one more time. And then I need to ask you a question, and you will need to answer me by creating a join. My question to you is that, are you okay with that? Do you want to try it?
I saw already 3 positive answers.
Okay.
4. Let's do it. But they ask not so fast.
Well, not 1 minute. How about 1 minute and a half?
Sounds like a plan.
All right. All right. Okay. So let me do this. So I'm going to do one more time so it's easy for you. So we're going to look at the product, right? Now, in the product, this is the primary key. Now, category or supplier is a foreign key because supplier ID in a product table doesn't mean anything. Like this number doesn't mean anything, which means there must be some reference. So I need to know when I look at the product, there is a supplier ID. So if I have a product name konbu, for example, or tofu, or everybody knows tofu. So let's say I have a product name equals tofu. In a product name equals to tofu. Question for you. If I look at the supplier, I want to know a supplier name that sells us tofu. In our application, there is a product name called tofu. I need to buy it. I want to know who is a supplier of tofu in our application. Please spend about 3 minutes, try to write me a query, find a supplier name. Thank you.
And the way to use the join is with and, guys.
Let me, you know what? Never mind. Let me write it for you for right now. Let me do it again, and then we're going to do the other one together. So let me do this. All right. Where? So products and supplier. Suppliers, plural. S, P. So product name is P. It's in the product table. Okay, and let's connect them. In the product table, supplier ID is a foreign key. So we're going to do this. And P dot equals S dot. All right. What we need from supplier, we need a supplier name. That's it. That's how easy it is. Everybody take a look one more time. I want you guys to be very honest, because if you don't understand this, I'm not going to give you tasks. But if most of you guys understand this, I can give you a couple of tasks. We can exercise that. Max, can you ask our wonderful students and see if they are ready to do tasks or exercise related to the join?
Guys, look one more time on the SQL statement. Make sure you understand what's going on. If you understand, please let us know and tell us that you want to move forward. Please. Awesome. So guys, those of you that still didn't 100% understood everything, you can watch the recording that we're gonna send you. You're gonna watch this video one more time, and I'm sure that after you view it one more time, you will understand what happens here, okay? Let's see. Regarding those that want to practice more, guys, go to this website, wfreeschools.com, SQL part. You will see it's there. You know what? Let me send it to you. I just sent the link to all of you. I want those that are still not feeling very confident to go through this link. Please copy it, save it, and just go through the different sections of what I sent you right now, and you can go until the joins, okay? Until the inner join, left join, right join, full join. You don't really need all of them, but just for yourself, go through it really quick and you will understand the basic principles, okay?
Max, I highly recommend for people who didn't get it, if they're going to try to figure out themselves, they might find themselves in a completely different methods. Let's schedule something extra, and I'll be more than happy to explain it slowly in more details. How does it work? Hello?
Yeah, most of our guys are saying that they are ready to move forward.
Okay, then we are moving forward. Everybody get ready. We're going to do something despicable. So if you look at the employee, order details, order, okay. What does employee has? Birthday, beautiful. Employee has birthday. All right. I have a question, guys. If I go to orders, I select a random order. This is my order. Do you see it? That's the order ID. All right. That's the order ID. Everybody write it down. I want you to go to orders with this order ID, and I want you to find me the name of the employee that sold that order. Thank you very much. Let's do it. All right, guys, how are you doing? Is everybody alive?
Let's see. I think that our superstars feeling really bad. I think they're suffering.
Impossible.
But I promise you guys that once you're gonna repeat it a few times, it's gonna be easy peasy.
Lemon squeezy. All right. All right, guys, it's over. Are you ready?
Yes.
All right. So let's write it together. Let's write it together. And then anybody found the name? Anybody can write it down for Max, the name, so we can have something at least. Anybody at all? Anybody?
It looks that nobody wrote any name.
Right.
Oh, we have a name. You want to hear it?
No, I'm going to do it. And then we're going to see if we did it correctly. All right. Oh, I think we looked at the employee, right? Am I mistaken or not? Employee? Who sold the order with this number?
Yes.
So we're looking at the employee, okay? So we're gonna do VE, and what we need is from the table employee, first name and last name. E dot E dot, and then now we need joint, and O dot equals E dot. That's it. Run it. Davolio Nancy.
And the victory goes to Victoria again.
Woo!
Let's just focus few seconds, guys. Look on what appears in front of us and try to understand it. So basically, the mutual thing between the orders tables and employees tables is the employee ID. That's why we use the join with them.
This is how those two tables connected to each other using employee ID. In the employee table, it's a primary key. In the order table, it's a foreign key. It's like lichinka. So we are using this particular join to connect those two dots. Two tables like a two dots. You need one line to connect those two lines. This is the only way. So you don't need to worry about how to connect two tables. As long as you can find primary and foreign keys, there is only one way to connect them, is to make them equal. So you just make them equal. Now, no matter how many words you have in one table or another, all of the conditions gonna be satisfied if you're gonna put this equal sign right here. This is the one. Do you wanna do one more time, guys? Anybody? One more time, simple one.
Let's do one more time from Sergey that took number 2, by the way.
Let's go back to the orders. So we have employee ID, we have customer ID, we have shipper ID, okay? I'm gonna do the same thing. For the same number that I gave you before, can you find me a shipper name and the phone number? Okay, one more time. For the same order number that I gave you before, can you be so kind? If you remember that, I don't remember already, I don't know. Let me see if I will. Do I have it?
The order number was 10258.
Here we go. Can you write me down one more time?
I'm gonna share with everyone the number of the order.
10.
And Gennady, you want what?
I want a shipper name.
So order 10258.
Thank you, Max. So for this order number, I want you to write me a query, join, where you're gonna show me an order number and you're gonna show me a shipper name, okay? And I give you 3 minutes or 2, 3 minutes. Thank you, everybody. All right, guys, time is up. Hello, everybody.
Hi, guys.
Are we good?
I see silence. Actually, no, I see a number from Victoria.
It should be the number, should be the name. Hello, can we start writing? Can we write? Are we ready?
I think so. Let me just see. It looks like I have a questions regarding the answers, but guys, please be patient for a few seconds.
So, suppliers. S dot, let's take a look. I need suppliers.
Shippers, right? Or suppliers?
I think supplier, or the shipper. Was it shipper or was it supplier?
It was a shipper, I believe.
Let me take a look. I know exactly what you look. It was the last one. It was a shipper. Ooh. Shipper, S. And if I look at the shipper table, shippers table, the shipper name is, that's what we wanted to know. Shippers, S dot, Control V. Here we go. Where? Or, let's take this. This is what we know. We're gonna write one more time and, okay. Oh, this is what we need, shipper ID. Or shipper ID equals S dot shipper ID. Run the query. Then the answer is Speedy Express. What is that? Order ID. That was stupid of me. Here we go. My apologies. All right, guys. Everybody see it? Everybody happy? Everybody, anybody had this figured out? If not, don't be upset. You have this lesson. You can watch it again. You can try to see how I do things. You can try to repeat it using the same tool. You can see why am I doing this, and you can exercise to do the same thing one more time. If you have, if you really want to dive into this one more time, as I said before, you can always schedule something with me one-on-one, and we can go over this thing again. I don't mind if you need extra details around this. I'll be more than happy to help you out. Max, I don't know. I think that's it for today. What do you think?
Thank you so much. Finally, after all of those years, I finally figured it out.
Let me tell you guys a few more small tiny things before the lesson is over. So this is what performance testing is all about. So you asking me, what is performance testing? Performance testing is the measurement. It's a response time measurement. When you execute this query, the one that I highlighted, how many milliseconds did it take you to run it? What does as a performance tool allows you to do? Two things. Number one, to simulate virtual users and run this query with 1,000 users, then with 5,000 users, then with 10,000 users, then with 15,000 users. So you're going to get a different number. This different number is going to create a graph. Based on this graph, you can determine where your application is going to have a response time that is not going to be good enough for your application. For example, let's say if you're going to have 100,000 users, the response time of this query is going to be too big, and your page or your information is going to take too long to execute. The second version of it is like how many records it has to go through. What if you have 1 million records, 10 million records? How long is it going to take? That's why all the companies are fighting for the database optimization. And what we learned today is an incredible example of this. Take a look at the order table. You see how light it is? There is no many strings, which means it's going to take very little time to go over this table, because everywhere is just the numbers. There is no, look, there's no strings, just the date. That's it, which is beautiful. It can go so fast. It calls database optimization. And that's what all the companies are fighting for, to make a database so light and table and schema so good, then you need spend no time executing those queries and getting the result. Thank you very much, everybody. And I wish you all the best.
Gennady, it's beautiful. Thank you so much. I just wanted to ask you a really quick question. What is going to be best general answer regarding where did you use SQL in your previous project? No. In like a very simple, basic explanation, what would be the best way to describe it?
Wonderful question. Wonderful question. So let me tell you guys how I explain to my mentors, to people that I manage. SQL in QA needed in two different places. One place is data ingestion and data integrity. That's when you go to database and look at the data if it's stored there the right way. So if you created a user and you go there and you see the first name, exactly what you enter, and the last name, exactly what you enter, and you see that the numbers and all of the details of your entry correctly put in database, it calls data ingestion. Data integrity sometimes when the data travels through a lot of algorithms. You don't have to worry about that, but you need to verify that at least it's a correct data or it's the right way of storing data. And there is one more way that you need SQL skills. Sometimes, let me give you an example. Let's say you testing, the account is being locked after you enter your password incorrectly for 5 times. If you're doing it on 5 different browsers, it's going to take you a long time to enter on each browser 5 times the wrong password. But then another column in your database is going to be locked. And you don't want to go to administrator and ask administrator to unlock your account. That's what you need to do. Let's say your customer ID, the one that you're using, is number 3. Your query that you need to do is going to be this: update user set locked equals null where customer ID equals 3. So after you run this query update statement, right, you're going to unlock your customer. It will help you to set up your environment where you can start using the same user and start testing on different browsers. So you don't need to go to the administrator or somebody to unlock your customer after you lock it. You can unlock it by simply running something similar to this. Not necessarily the same, but very similar. It's going to be very simple update statement. And it will allow you to set up your test environment where you're going to see exactly what you need to do. So if your account is locked, for example, and you run this query, after that you can reuse it on different browser. because your account is no longer locked. Or let's say there is another column called attempts, and you need to update it because you don't want to do a wrong password for 4 times before you unlock it. Let's say you want it to be 4, so you do it only 1 time and it's locked. So you do this: update user set attempts equals to 4, where customer ID is 3. So this time when you run it, you only need to put your password wrong 1 more time, and your account is going to be locked because you already put the number of attempts to number 4. Does that make sense?
I think it's very late right now in New York.
All right. Well,
yeah.
Let me tell you one more time. You need SQL in 2 different places. Number 1, to validate data ingestion and integrity. Number 2, to set up test scenario. Those 2 things is the only best answer you get when people are asking, why do you need SQL in QA?
Awesome. Awesome. Thank you, Gennady, so much for being with us. It was a pleasure as always. And as I see from the messages, the class was really appreciated, today's class. Thank you so much.
Have a wonderful night, everybody, and goodbye.
Thank you. Thank you, Gennady. Ooh, guys, what a class. Wow. So let's let's just summarize things, okay? So guys, regarding SQL, go over the video again. If you're not sure, try to use the tutorial on YouTube. Try to go through the W3 School link that I sent you. Just go through the basics, get familiar with that. The things that we showed today, Gennady actually showed today, that's enough for understanding what you need in SQL or for SQL for the level that you need in order to pass the interview and show knowledge in SQL, because they never will ask you more than join. Okay, so get familiar with it. Most likely you will never use it at work, but some of you might use it. Where are they going to use it? With a software called MySQL by Oracle. They're just going to have particular different databases, and they are going to be told to go through it and test different things. Usually they don't decide on their own to go and test it. Usually it's the decisions are being made on a higher level, and the testers or QA engineers just will go and execute the test suites that gonna ask you to go and verify certain usernames, certain fields that they appear as expected after, let's say, that you add a user, remove a user, create a user, change something, transfer money, or whatever you do, and you want to see that the database was affected accordingly, you will probably go and test it against the database, something that I was not doing and most of my friends were not doing, but maybe in some company you would do it, because Gennady at his company definitely does it. So different companies, different tools, but SQL is something very popular, at least during interview questions. During my interviews, I was asked about the basic SQL queries, and of course I was answering those because I watched a tutorial of like 20 minutes, and I said yes, of course I was using SQL, and I was using it, and they asked me like, how did you use it, like what queries did you use? And I was like, oh, select from where, and they're like, oh, cool, okay, that's it. But in case that they want to give you an assignment to try, and then let's say to do join between two tables, because during one interview, even two interviews, I was asked to do basic join, okay? And luckily, I knew how to do it. Eventually at work, I never touched SQL at all. But during interview, they wanted to see that I have some skills, okay? So guys, don't panic. It's really, really easy. And all you need is just to watch this video, today's class, one more time. If it's still super hard, try to watch it another time, or just try to watch any tutorial on YouTube about SQL for beginners, and you will need only to get to the join, and that's it. You don't need much more. So we tell you exactly what you need, okay? So don't waste your time on something else, and get familiar with that to the level that you know how to write this query on a page. Because during interview, they might tell you, okay, can you just find the first name of the employee that makes more than 90K, okay? And you will need probably you will have two different tables that will have this different information. One will have the salaries, one will have the employee name, and they probably gonna have like employee ID as a foreign key, okay? So guys, practice it a little bit more. I want everyone to be really skilled with this thing, because you don't need more than 1 hour to become pro, okay, in doing joins. So guys, please do it. It's very easy. It's gonna be very sad if you're gonna lose the job or lose the opportunity, or you're gonna you won't pass the interview because such easy, simple, and basic question like SQL join. Okay, so guys, please, we tell you now, go for it. Trust me, after a few times, you will know it by heart. You will know it really well. After you pass the interview, forget it. Okay? You won't probably need it. But for the interview, for the process, for getting the job, you want to know it well. Okay? I wish that you learn it well for your life, because it's easy, it's simple, and you might use it especially during interviews. So please do it. Guys, do we have some additional questions? Because we already 15 minutes, 16 minutes more than we're supposed to be. As always, we give you extra. Don't forget it. And what else? Just this Saturday, we had like 4 hours with our former students. 2 hours in the morning and 2 hours in the evening. We went through the interview questions, and we were discussing the areas that guys were not 100% sure, in order to clarify it, because our goal is not just to get you to the world, to the ocean, but also we want to make sure that you get your job. So guys, it looks like no questions. Thank you for being with us. I hope you liked today's lesson. And tomorrow we have a very exciting day. So see you guys tomorrow, and see you tomorrow, guys. Bye-bye.